Hey everyone, this is Lisa from Life in Layouts, and today I am back with day number 20 of 30 Days of Sketches with Chrissy's Beautiful Life. Today's sketch comes from Miss Carrie, and I will link her social media below. I pulled out this Simple Stories collection called Say Cheese at the Park because it had a ton of firework embellishments. I'm going to be documenting our very last time watching Happily Ever After back in 2021. Disney announced that they were no longer going to be showing this fireworks show, and it is my absolute favorite. We later learned that the fireworks show was just canceled long enough so that they could do a 50th anniversary fireworks show, but they have since brought it back. On the left-hand side of the layout, I am cutting out just some strips of paper that I thought would truly bring in some firework vibe to it. Obviously, I pulled out that blue paper that had the fireworks on it. I also pulled out a white paper that has some like sparkles that kind of look like fireworks, and then also the yellow paper that has the white sparkles on it as well. And then I threw in that plaid just to bring in all of the colors. I pulled out this Stampin' Up! Banner punch. It's called a triple banner punch. It is a retired punch, but you can pick it up from some secondhand places like eBay. It does 3 size banner punches in 1, 1.5, and 2 inches. There's also another one that does banner punches that are smaller, but that one is also retired. I love using this thing to make my banners. I decided that I was going to save those pieces because I thought maybe I could do some tiny hearts or stars. I hadn't decided if I wanted to do that yet, so I just set it over in the corner. And then I started to trim down my photos. The sketch calls for some photos on the right-hand side in a 4x4, but just like the other day, I could not really cut down 2 of these photos of Eli and myself waiting for the fireworks because I truly wanted the castle in the photos. So I left those at a 4x6 and then cut down the other 2 photos to a 4x4. I felt like the photos needed to be backed on something, so I pulled out my Doodlebug Petite Print in Stone Gray, and I looked through quite a few pieces, but I finally settled on the linen paper to back my photos. And I really just put a 1/8 of an inch border around it. It was just enough to offset the fact that some of the photos are really dark, the nighttime photos, and then the photos of us in front of the castle are obviously very bright because it was earlier in the day. We got to this area super early. It wasn't even the last day that the fireworks was being displayed, but usually the last week that the fireworks is being displayed, the fireworks show is crazy busy. So we knew that we wanted to have an amazing seat to see the show. We wanted to be up close so that we could see the projection on the castle. So we got there super, super early. On the left-hand side of the layout, I decided to use these 2 photos that we got taken by a cast member in front of the castle. The cast member had a sign that we could hold up that just has Happily Ever After. I've actually never seen that sign before, so I was so glad that we were able to get a picture with that sign. The sketch calls for a piece of paper at the top of the right-hand side of the layout, and I auditioned basically every piece that was on the left-hand side, but I felt like the yellow piece was making the most sense in regards to it being a contrast between that really dark photo of the fireworks. Now, those 2 photos on the left-hand side, I did pull from the internet. I could never get those shots. I usually just bring my cell phone and take photos with that. It's just so much to bring my digital SLR, and these photos are pretty awesome that I was able to pull offline. There is a Facebook group that I'm a part of where people will take photos with their cell phone as well as with really nice digital SLR cameras and post it, and they are specifically for Disney. They post them to share with other people. So I do want to give credit to those people in that Facebook group. I will link it below if you want to check it out. They have some really amazing photos in there. So I decided that when I was putting down the strips on the left-hand side that I should probably take a photo of the way that I had positioned the strips because I knew I wasn't going to remember once I started getting the strips down. I knew I wanted them to be overlapping, some on top of the other, some behind, not really in a pattern as sort, but I knew that I wanted overlapping between them. Once I got the 2 strips down, I knew that I wanted that yellow strip to overlap both the plaid and the white. So I went ahead and put the white paper down first and then added the yellow paper on top of them. And then I had to pull out my phone. I'm so glad I took that picture because at that point I had only gotten 4 strips down and I had already forgotten what order I wanted them in. So having my phone to the left there, just referring back to it as needed. And of course, I had to bring out my spatula tool to pull up some of the adhesive because, you know, I never think before I put things down. But I was eventually able to get all of these pieces down. It did take me a little bit. I did the same technique at the top with the white and then having the plaid overlap both the white and yellow. So I put the white paper down first. Once I got the banners down, I realized that my photos probably needed to be backed on white. And of course, my ATG gun ran out of adhesive. I love my ATG gun. It lasts so long, and I know that it's no longer available. And I'm going to be very sad if this thing ever breaks. I've actually thought about starting to look for another one just in case, because the longer I wait, I know the harder it's going to be to find one. So if you see any types of deals on the ATG, if you find them available anywhere, please let me know over in my Facebook group because I would absolutely pick it up. So I did mat both of the photos on the white paper and I matted them together as if they were one large photo. I also have this photo of Tinkerbell flying, and I knew that I wanted that photo to the right of the photo that's down at the bottom right of the layout. If you've never seen Happily Ever After, all I can say is that this fireworks show is a beautiful, beautiful fireworks show. Not only is the fireworks amazing, the projection on the castle is amazing, and then the song that is written for this fireworks show is just beautiful. It has me tearing up every single time I watch this fireworks show. And I am talking, I've probably seen this fireworks show at least 100 times. And every single time Tinkerbell flies, I tear up. It's just overwhelming. So the photo on the far right in the bottom is right before she flies. What happens is the projection on the castle goes across, so it almost looks like she is flying with her Tinkerbell dust across the castle. And then she comes out of the top of the castle and flies over the crowd and ends up in Tomorrowland. I knew I wanted the photo on the right to mimic that same type of projection that she does during the show. Now, this yellow piece of paper gave me so much trouble. Oh my goodness. I can't believe how much I struggled with this. And I left all of this in because you guys like to see stuff like this. It took me so long to get it down. I ended up ripping it and having to cut another one. I was just on the struggle bus this day, and it was just ridiculous how much difficulty I was having trying to get this yellow piece of paper down. I finally got it down on the bottom and then had to cut the other piece for the top since I had ripped the one at the bottom. And I still struggled with the one at the top. I probably should have just taken the photos up and put the yellow piece down, but you know, I don't ever do anything the easy way. I do eventually get it down, and that's all that matters. I decided to put Tinkerbell up on Fun Foam. I did add some liquid adhesive and add her photo over to the far right, and I added my stamping block on top of it to add some weight to it. My title is going to be Farewell, Happily Ever After, and I knew that I wanted the word happily and after in this font here, and I wanted the word ever in a different font. I first tried these letters here from Echo Park, but I didn't like the white background of them. It just wasn't sitting right. But I was like, well, maybe if I put the word farewell in the same font, that it would be okay. So I added the word farewell down, and I do not like the letters when they are different colors. So I had to use 2 different sheets to spell out the word farewell in the same color red. But once I got it completely down, I was like, nope, I don't like this at all. So at first the word ever came up, and I decided that I would use the tile stickers in the red and I would put them up on Fun Foam. And when I lay this down, almost immediately I was like, yep, I love the way that it looks. I love the fact that it pops up. I knew that there was a little bit of extra space, so I did decide to put the word ever down, and then using my tweezers and my glue press to get the word happily and after down, I knew I could move them over quite a bit. I'm also using my poker tool from Tim Holtz to make sure that any of the liquid adhesive that is spilling out is cleaned up with that poker tool. Then I decided that farewell was just not doing it for me, and I figured that I would use the black tile stickers from that same sticker sheet to spell out the word farewell. And once I put that up on fun foam and added it to the top, I knew that my title was complete. I added the word after down using that same technique of the tweezers, the liquid adhesive, and the poker tool if needed to get the liquid adhesive off if it spilled out. But I actually did a pretty good job on the word after. And then I went ahead and added the word farewell down. The reason that I pulled out this collection for this layout was for this saying right here. It says, "Meet me under the fireworks." And I love that saying. So I thought about adding it over to the right-hand side, but ultimately ended up adding it to the left-hand side underneath the photos there. Of course, I have to add a castle over to the right-hand side of the layout. And then all of the firework pieces. I love these fireworks. I think that they are so awesome. There's so many of them, and I am so glad that Simple Stories included so many of them so that I could add a bunch of them to this layout. Over on the left-hand side, I also added a sticker that says "Remember the Magic," and then also a viewfinder in gray with a little tiny heart in the center of it. And you can see all of those fireworks to the left of me. And I don't end up using all of them, so I'm excited to see what other layout I can do. Over on the far right-hand side, I have a little sticker that says "Worth the Wait," and it has a little red heart on it because Tinkerbell is absolutely worth the wait. I added some more fireworks over the castle, as well as an embellishment piece that says "What a Blast," and then it also has fireworks on it. I did print out my journaling in a batch journaling before I created this layout, so I usually just stick it in the envelope with the photos when I do that. My journaling says, "Eli and I couldn't resist one last viewing of Happily Ever After before it went away. This dazzling fireworks show is my absolute favorite, especially when Tinkerbell takes flight. Cue the tears." We staked out our spot early to snag prime seating for this magical show. I did decide to trim them down just a little bit, and then I used some foam adhesive from Scrapbook.com to give it a little bit of dimension. I also printed out the date of September 29th, 2021, and I'm going to add that to the right-hand side of the layout underneath Tinkerbell. I took some of the asterisk pieces from the font that I used for the word happily and after and added those around the layout as well in each one of the clusters. And then I pulled out my black color box and added some black enamel dots to each one of the clusters as well. Make sure you check out the playlist below to see how everyone else interpreted this sketch. I'm excited to see what everyone else has done with this one. It's a pretty cool looking sketch. All right, and then that is it for this video. Here is my final layout as well as some close-ups. Over on my Facebook group, I am going to have a post about the Happily Ever After fireworks show and if you've ever seen it or not. So either let me know in the comments below or make sure you join my Facebook group so that we can have a discussion about this very magical fireworks show. If you enjoyed this video, if you wouldn't mind giving me a thumbs up, I would really appreciate it. If you haven't done so already and you want to see more double page layout inspiration, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Thanks everyone for watching, and I hope that you have a scrappy day.